Well, hello, hello. This is Amy from the Art of Imperfect Adulting. Today, I'm going to do something different. And I'm going to explain why I'm doing it because this video is going to post into the feed where all the other interviews are. But what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to review and show you guys one of the tools that I use to publish the show, The Art of Imperfect Adulting, the audio version of the show. So I'm going to talk about Captivate FM, which is my audio podcast host. All right. That's not normally the kind of content I put in here, but the reason I'm doing it is that this is a question that I actually get pretty frequently, right? Not from people who are listening to the podcast necessarily, which is why this might be a little bit confusing. But when I do networking meetings with other business owners and the guests on the show, it's a question that I'm getting enough that it hit that point where it's like there's a thing that's like if people ask you things on a regular basis, just make something about it so you can send it to them instead of re-talking about it all the time. So today I'm going to talk about why and how I chose Captivate FM as my host. And if you're not interested, then this video is not for you. Like, that's totally fine. All right. So one of the things to know about me for this is that The Art of Imperfect Adulting is not my very first audio podcast. In 2016, I launched Mile After Mile, which was an endurance sports podcast that was hosted on a company called Libsyn, which is a great host, great company. Very happy with them. I didn't choose them because I just chose Captivate, and I'll tell why I chose Captivate in a second. Then I have a podcast that I did in 2022 or 23, which I very humbly called the Amy Says So Show. And that was actually hosted on what was then called Anchor and is now called Spotify for Creators. That's a free way to host a podcast. And I'll talk about why I sometimes pay for podcast hosting and sometimes don't as a part of this recording. All right. So I will cover that. And then the third one, this is The Art of Imperfect Adulting. I'm hosting it on Captivate, and I'll tell you why. Before I dive in and do that, if you are curious about Captivate and you want to try it, you can look it up yourself on Google, but there are links in the show notes. And I do regularly provide an affiliate link. I want to be very transparent and open about my relationship with Captivate, which is simply that I am a client. They didn't ask me to record this review. They did not give me resources for it. I signed up as an affiliate, which is just a thing you can do as a customer. I don't even know if anybody at Captivate, other than the billing department, knows who I am, and maybe occasionally on the support desk. I'm just a client, and I want to be transparent about the fact that there is an affiliate link in the show notes. So if you click the link, there is the chance that I get a commission, which helps me offset the cost of producing the show, and I'm very thankful. But also just that this is just my opinions, right? I have no relationship with the company outside of being a client right now. Recording this in August of 2025. If you come back in the future, I may no longer be a client. I may have switched. I may have changed my relationship with Captivate. All of those things are possible. So just, take it for what it is. This is a snapshot in time. This is what was going on and what I was doing, right? So let's dive in and talk about how I chose Captivate and why would anybody ever pay for podcast hosting, right? So I chose Captivate in full honesty. I got a referral from somebody else who was podcasting and they were using it. I had never heard of them before they told me. When I hosted in 2016 with Libsyn, I think that they were pretty much one of the only games in town. They hosted the majority of podcasts. They may still host the majority of podcasts. I honestly don't know. It feels to me like there are a lot more choices in podcast hosting today, and that means that it's a little more confusing to people. So there are a couple of things that I actually consider to be commodities in audio podcast hosting. I'm going to talk about those. When I say they're commodities, what I mean is that I think that no matter whether you're choosing a free or a pay for or an enterprise level podcast host, you're going to find a version of this on all of these platforms. I'm not an expert on this and I'm not an industry insider, so if I'm wrong, just let me know. But as best as I know, from everything from free hosts like Spotify to pay for hosts, you're always going to find, or you should always find, storage, right? Because when they're hosting, they're going to hold on to your data for you. Distribution, they're going to help you distribute your RSS feed to the various players, and you're going to get analytics and migration. And so, analytics, I'll show you in a little bit in my Captivate account. And migration just means that when you're choosing a host and you're switching hosts, just like any other online provider, they're going to help you move back and forth. And so, I think that those things are present in every single host. I'm going to show you now at this point, I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you. Um, Yes, that's how I'm going to do this. I'm going to share with you the distribution screen from Captivate. So now you should see that. So this is my RSS feed for Imperfect Adulting. That's the address of the show, and it's how it does that, right? And then these are the built-in places that Captivate is set up to do. Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music. You'll see that these say one click. There's some others, right? So Apple Podcasts, notably, if you don't already know this, you actually have to set up an account on Apple Podcasts and register with them independently. So you have to do that before Apple will see you. And Apple is, in my opinion, still the most significant because they redistribute it to a lot of aggregators. But these are all the ones that are built in that they do this for you. Pocket Cast, these are Player FM, Boom Play. There's one here that if you're in the podcasting space, you already know is missing and is not here, and that's iHeart.com. So iHeart, you have to submit to by hand. And so it's no longer a hit one and everything goes. My memory, which may honestly be flawed, is that back in 2016, when I opened an account with Libsyn, I just hit a button and I was everywhere. I don't know if my memory is wrong or if that's actually the way it was and it's changed. So that's what distribution looks like inside Captivate. And now we'll get into some other stuff. I paid for Libsyn and then I stopped paying for Libsyn when I ended that show. I did not pay for Spotify Anchor because it was a free service, right? Spotify is one of the biggest platforms for podcasting in the world. So it's not like it's a small company. And then I chose to pay for hosting with Captivate. And for me, the big thing that paying for a podcast host gets you is it gets you, hopefully, tech support. And also you are, that's, it's not a free product, right? It's not a free product. Spotify had perfectly adequate reporting. It was a fine tool for uploading. It was really, really absolutely okay. But once upon a time, I had to email them for support and I didn't get like a great response. And I have worked hand in hand with Captivate tech support over my 7 months of being with them, 8 months. It's August now. And so I get a response and they walk me through things. So tech support is definitely one, reliability is one. And, all platforms have outages, all systems have outages. There is no flawless technology out there waiting for you. But Captivate has been reliable for me. And that was one of the things that the person who referred it to me said. And the other thing is that when I started this project, is that I wanted to grow a big show. That is my plan, to grow a big show. That is what I'm working on. And I was looking for a host that did not have limitations in upload size and number of shows and things like that. And Captivate feels to me like, for an indie creator, a platform that I can grow with. And so those were the things that I went to. Why would anybody choose to pay or not pay for a show? Perfectly reasonable question. It can go both ways, right? If you're doing this as a hobby and not as a business, maybe you don't want to pay. But that's not really a true answer because I know plenty of people who invest heavily in their hobbies, right? Like, so, golf, triathlon, baking, whatever it might be. If you want to invest in your hobby, then go for it. There's no reason not to. So I know guys, not in person, but virtually online, who enjoy investing, six figures, maybe five, I don't know, building talk show sets in their garage to support a hobby. And you know what? If you enjoy it, great. In fact, if that's something you enjoy and you want to help me build a set, reach out because that would be great. So now we are to the point where I'm going to show you some things actually in my Captivate account. This took me so many tries to do, you guys. This is proof that I am not like an expert brand influencer, but also there is something very different from like doing the back office stuff that you do every single day and then turning around and recording it and trying to show it to you guys as a demonstration. took me a lot of tries. You'll notice that there's a few different outfits going on. All right, so I'm going to show you three different things, and hopefully it's not too confusing. I'm going to show you monetization, which to be fair, I don't do a lot with monetization yet because I'm still a very small show, but I'll show you what's there. I'm going to show you analytics, which I will talk about on its own in depth. And then the other thing that I did is I recorded for you guys the actual steps of how I upload, excuse me, upload an audio episode my way in Captivate. So three different things. It's a little bit jumpy because I actually had to stop and think about it and do the things in that way. But I'm going to share my screen with you and show you what the monetization looks like in um, in Captivate. Here we are at my desktop. Yes, we're going to share. We're going to go right over here to monetization and make it a big thing. So there's two ways that there's probably more than that, but ads, right? You can do ads within Captivate. Their ad is they do dynamic ad insertion with what they call Amy, right? Which is a little bit confusing because that's also my name, but AMIE, right? And they do that. They also have, and within ads, they offer that they have a system that will create for you a sponsor kit directly within there. I did not create this, what you see on the screen. It's pulling this data. I don't use this yet. Mine is not public, but I think that's an amazing thing. They have built-in systems to do, yep, we're going to discard because we didn't do anything. You can create your own attribution links within Captivate. Again, I also don't do that, so I can't really talk to it, but it is there. And then there's another way to monetize within Captivate, which is that they have a way to set up your own tip or membership pricing where you connect to your payment system. Stripe is the one I use. And you can directly collect tips and sponsorships from your audience. So I do have that set up. People could leave me a tip today. You can see from the dashboard that no one has, which is fine. But what this means to me is that I don't actually have to go and set up an external account with another group like Patreon or buy me a coffee, right? Those are other things that people use. Those are great platforms. But for me, like that's a place where if I can do it all through this host, I'll go ahead and do that right now. There's another piece of automation that I use within the Captivate platform. They have tools where you can create templates for your show notes and stuff. And I don't do a lot of that, but they also allow you to incorporate shortcode and text blocks, which allows me, and those are dynamic across the show notes. So there is some things that are in every single bit of my show notes, and I can set up a block from that. And then if I update the block, it updates it over all of the show notes. And I do use that. So I really think that that's a great addition. So the audio file has been edited to and saved. So I hit create new. You'll be surprised how fast this is, right? Because I have everything ready to go now is why this goes so fast. So browse for my files. I go to my documents, which is where they save. They're all saved in like order. You can see 18, 17, 16, da, da, da. So the top one, which I designate as for upload, it's an MP3 file. There it goes. I have all my episodes data stored in one place. So I come over here and I copy and I paste my title. Pro tip from me, never, ever, ever type your guest name, copy and paste it from wherever they have input it. I have my show notes ready to go here. They're already edited and ready to go. So I'm going to copy and paste those here. So those are the show notes. It's all there. Oop, there we go. Episode 118. That's correct. I don't have more than one season yet. Scrolling down the live date for this. Oop. So it jumped because it had finished uploading the file. August 13th, 2025. Yes. Schedule episode. And that's it. There. So the next thing I'm going to share with you is analytics. And I'm going to show you my actual analytics for my show today. I want to be really upfront. This brought up some internal conversation in my head to do this. I really, truly had to kick my pride and my ego to the curb in order to do this. Transparency for me is trumping my ego, which I think is a good thing. There's two internal conversations that have been going on in my head. And I think that's one of the reasons I had to record this so many times in different places, because whenever I would get to this section, about showing the analytics, I would begin to stumble and it would be glitchy. And so I had to stop and redo it. So the two conversations I had going on in my head is the thing where I'm telling myself, I think that you guys are going to be expecting to see much larger numbers. But the truth is, I'm a small indie show, right? And I think there's value in, or it's important, or helpful, or significant. I don't know what the right word is here. Other people can choose it. But I'm going to go ahead and show you what my numbers are. And I want to put this a little bit in perspective before I do this. I'm going to do two things. So again, showing the screen. Here we go to the desktop. Let's go. Do. Okay, so this is my Zoom screen. That's not terribly helpful. All right, the first thing I'm going to show you is listen notes, right? So here are my three shows that I've done over time, right? If I click here, right now today, August, what, 4th, August 4th. This is considered a top 5% global rank, according to this company called Listen Notes, a score of 32. That's their classification. It's not really a valid sort of thing. The true thing is that they're scoring from like it starts at 10% and then 5% and it goes to like 0.001%. There are shows out there that are getting hundreds of thousands of downloads a an episode. You can look at Mel Robbins, you can look at Amy Poehler, you can look at Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Alex Cooper. Those shows are all getting hundreds of thousands of downloads every single day. I'm not them, kids. So let's look at my analytics. So this is the analytics screen within Captivate. Okay. And this is today, this is live, right? I'm just under 4,000 total downloads since launch. You have this screen, and it gives you today, yesterday, and some averages. It will give you a monthly total. You see up. July. Is that a summer slump? Maybe. Although I gotta say, I'm not sure that's as true as it used to be, because there are things happening like the Gilded Age is dropping their new show, and I think it's doing great in the middle of the summer. You can look at engagement. This is a fun little graph. I'm not entirely sure what it means. It does give you a breakdown of where people are listening from. So almost half of my listeners are coming from Apple Podcasts. And then next up is Spotify and Overcast. It also gives you some people are listening from Facebook. That's interesting. Look at that. I am in the United States and Alaska predominantly. Look at that. Not a big surprise there. So it will tell you a little bit about your unique audience and how many people versus how many downloads. You can compare episode to episode. I don't do that, but you can. And you can do an episode overview, which is really interesting. And sometimes I'll play with this thing over here where I can switch it from 28 days to today to yesterday. And I can look at a yesterday's spotlight of what people were looking at. The other thing that's in here is that I talked about earlier, you can do your own attribution links. Those, they will track them for you here. So they call that in their insights, right? And if you are using a website, I don't do this, but Captivate lets you do a website through Captivate, and they also do a plugin of a player directly to WordPress sites where it's publishing, I think, your show notes and then a player. And if you do those things, then you can also get your promotional links from the listen page there. I'm not using them, so there's nothing. There's nothing here. Although, there is more here actually. So these are the links from, I don't know, directory link. I don't even know what that means. All right, so that's new. Pocket Casts, Spotify, Apple. Interesting. All right, so those are my analytics within Captivate, and I hope that it is very helpful. It is time to wrap this up, isn't it? Oh my goodness. Yes, it is. So, my goal here was not actually to train you on Captivate. And that's a thing sometimes in product reviews, I feel like they're almost like training. And that was not my intention. I hope it wasn't too boring. I do also hope that I answered some of the questions that you might have about Captivate and maybe hosting overall. Those were my goals. So, if you have questions, like really detailed questions about Captivate, the best thing to do is to go to them directly. At this time, they have a free trial, so you can sign up and play around with it. And then they're really helpful. They're nice people. So just reach out to them. You can do that. I hope that this gives you a taste of how I actually use it, if that's something that you were curious about. If you have questions for me, right, about hosting, about podcasting, or about anything I'm doing, or even you just want a friend who is a female indie podcaster, creator, feel free to reach out. I'm here for that. I'm going to sign off. I totally, actually, for the first time, have a blooper. That will be the last thing you see on this video. You might be thinking, Amy, this wasn't like a super rehearsed, well put together video. How can you have a blooper? I know, I'm thinking the same thing too. Anyway, Amy Stone signing off. Thanks for watching. We will refresh. I gave this whole speech about how reliable it was, and now we'll see if it hangs up and doesn't load. Won't that be hilarious?